Yo, what's going on, guys? Bill here, Classic Rock and Metal Review. Time to go over another best of 23. I think there's one more coming. Then we'll be done that. 15 favorite reacquisitions from the year 2023. We're talking commercially available CDs. And they'll be ranked. No bootlegs, no videos here, just commercially available regular albums. And I think all 7 of the Love You Long Times that we covered in 2023, they're all here. You know, I know a couple of them got a thumbs down. Doesn't mean I'm not glad to have them back. Just probably be a little lower on the list. If you're new to the channel, Love You Long Time, an episode where I compare my memory of an album I used to love to what it's really like getting it back and hearing it for the first time, in almost all cases 30 plus years. Within a week, we'll get to the next Love You Long Time episode. It's going to be for Twisted Sisters, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. I put that up to a vote for you guys between a couple other albums, and this is the one you wanted, at least when I last checked. So I'm going with this one. Voting, I think I left up there, so might have even changed. But we will get to those other 2 eventually anyway. Look for that Twisted Sister episode in the next week or so. So, anything else, including that Twisted Sister, that might have gotten the last couple months? You don't see it up here. I just didn't digest it yet. It'll be in the runner for 2024. I've already reacquired a bunch of old favorites, honestly. Some more Fogelberg, Savatage, Anthrax, we'll cover them. The Twisted Sisters coming up next, like I said. All right, got it mentioned before we go any further that actor David Emge, he was Steven in Dawn of the Dead, aka Flyboy, passed the other day. I know he hadn't been doing well for a couple years. Respiratory issues of some sort. Rest in peace. Condolences to his family. My favorite movie of all time. That and The Thing. They're right neck and neck. But sorry to hear about his passing. Guys, let's get started and let's get drinking. All right? Let's get to it. All right? It's my first day off in a while, and I need it. Going with a local favorite, Bell Buoy, Slack Tide Brewing. I think they're in Sea Isle City. See if they got that here. So probably not going to be Cape May County, yeah, but I think it's in Sea Isle or Sea Isle City. Anyway, love this beer. And Santa dropped off something new. Sorry for those tremors there. And there we go. The sloppy cracking of the can all over the damn place. But you won't even be able to see it until I get some beer in here. Oh man, a muffed pour. It figures. I'll have to come back to that because I can't see anything. We got station logo on that mug. Mogo mugs. All right, let me wipe my hand off on my pants and let's get started. Number 15, we'll go with Metal Church's The Dark. Loved this album back in the day. Was really looking forward to it. You know, it was right behind their debut to me, at least in my memory, and I was wrong. This album is very much, I would say, it's just a commercialized version of the band, where the debut had, you know, all these changes. It could be a million miles an hour 1 minute, slow down the next. The production was awesome, kind of snappy production, especially on the drums. Ripping, not the best production ever, but really good for a debut and sort of punchy. Hard to describe it actually, but I thought that album sounded great. And this one is the opposite. It sounds like shit. 80s, over the top, super echo snare. Not for me, man, at all. Not to mention, I mean, that's just part of it. The main story here, the songs, you're more sort of commercialized, so you're sort of formulatic song structures. Verse, chorus, solo, verse, chorus. Or, you know, none of the bobbing and weaving that the first album sort of had. Always kept you guessing. Speed metal here, maybe a little sort of regular metal. Some of those songs were thrash level speed, but sort of just all worked, you know. This one, just a little too, I think, commercialized, basically. And I think a lot of people agree. Now we're on Electro Records and, you know, trying to go for the masses, I guess. Although, you know, complaining a lot about it. It's cool to hear it again. And there are still several really great songs on here, despite all that other stuff, production and all that. And, you know, I'm glad to have them back. Ton of Bricks is pretty good. Watch the Children Play's good. The Dark's awesome. I love The Dark. I don't know about you guys. I always thought it was cool. Burial at Sea is cool. There's a bunch of good things on here. It's just, it is a far drop off from the debut, but it's good enough to be number 15. Number 14, another sort of letdown. Love You Long Time, thumbs down, just like Metal Church, but it's Marshall Tucker Band, Searching for a Rainbow. I believe 1975 album. It's the only album from them I've ever had. And I had it back in the late 80s and really loved it. Just didn't quite live up to how great I remembered it. A couple songs on here that I thought I was really going to love hearing again. They were just okay. But there was one song I forgot all about that was excellent. Fire on the Mountain's excellent. I don't care about Can't You See It All, so that might have been a deal breaker there. I probably liked that in '88, you know, and not so much anymore. But several good songs on there. Virginia's awesome. Bob Away My Blues still pretty cool. Keeps Me From All Wrong. There's just a little bit of meh on this album. So 14 though. Good, still good to have it back, and it's always fun hearing an album you haven't heard in 30 years that you used to love, even if it's not quite what you thought it was. So, number 13. This was a Love You Long Time, and this one got a thumbs up. Bullets, No Mercy. Some German metal here. I think this album's 1984. Dieter Dierks, German producer, produced several other acts, notably, of course, the Scorpions. At work here, and you know what? Some just fantastic, well-arranged, well-written songs. You got these little changes in here that a producer probably tends to be someone to suggest to the band to have them do. To get them from, the sort of good to great level. And that's what's in here all over the place, Even got some songs that sound like no other songs I've ever heard. Really good, solid metal album. What probably kept these guys from having any chance of being as popular as the Scorpions was just the vocalist has just such, it's a metal style only, no two ways about it. So heavy metal all the way. Bullets, No Mercy. I had this back in '84 when it came out. Based on, I think, just like a magazine ad and seeing it in the stores and going, this looks cool. Must have looked at it half dozen times before actually buying the cassette. And glad to have that one back. It's a good one. At number 12, guys, this is a local band I grew up with. And they're only able to make 2 demos and 1 full-length record. The name of the band is Black Task. All right, they never had any official CDs. I just took their cassette and vinyl demos and threw them onto this CDR. Made my own sort of cover for it and all. But I can show you, I'll give you a little brief history on them, working our way up to them. And that would be, they started out with this initial 4-song demo in 1984 called Spikes to the Wall, which was the name of one of the 4 songs on here. This is the actual thing I bought off the guys for $5. One of the only tapes I got left. I only have a handful of cassettes at all, but I've managed to keep this guy around. In fact, yeah, you get a little description inside here. Kind of forgot that was there until the last second there. 4 songs, and this is really good. All right, but then they outdid themselves in '85 with a 4-song EP. The front of it looked like this, but what I'm showing you here now is actually a combo of that cassette and the 4-song EP that came out in 2012. Radio Raheem is the name of this label. They specialize in sort of vintage releases and re-releasing them. So you get both demo, well, the one's a demo, the other one was a 4-song EP on Damnation Records. Which brings us to pick up number 12 of the year for me. Their only full-length record that they did. They had a record contract with Axe Records, who I think is in France. Long After Midnight, released in 1986. A whole sort of variety of metal on here. It was never going to really be popular because it was like a little of this and a little of that. Some songs had keyboard. A couple songs were still heavy and thrashy. Some in-between stuff. But man, if you like, I think the closest thing I can compare it to recently, if you like Tommy Bolin's Teaser, how that album has, 9 songs, and really they all sound pretty different from each other, multiple styles of music. This is your teaser of metal right here. All different styles of metal, and kind of cool. This Road Burns, the last song on side 1. Synth-driven rock, not metal quite, but still got a heavy feel to it. And just a great, the last song on here, Rip, is awesome. You know, thrashy, but it has an acoustic thing that comes in as just a little tasteful sort of enhancement there at the end of the chorus. There's just some great ones. Burning the Sky's really good. A couple songs I would say sound like the Dokken Under Lock and Key era in terms of level of heaviness. It's a good one. I just got it back on, had it back on vinyl in the day, ditched it, got it back earlier this year. Black Task, Long After Midnight. Not their high water mark. That would be the EP before it on Damnation Records. 4-song EP. I'm going to leave a link, man. If you don't like this one, I'm not sure if you should be watching. Kill Your Enemies on that 1985 4-song Damnation EP, just called Black Task. I'll leave a link to Kill Your Enemies. Listen to how awesome this song is. And let's move on. Number 11, Crocus, The Blitz, 1984 album. I used to love this album. I think this was a Love You Long Time also, and this was a thumbs up. It's just a great solid metal record. Not too commercial, not too heavy. It's right in that in-between zone. And it's solid. Solid hard rock. You know, Crocus, they're in that AC/DC level. Maybe a little closer to metal at this point for sure, but not by a whole lot, you know. I really loved this record back then. Played it all the time, and glad to have this one back as well at number 11, Crocus. Number 10, Dan Fogelberg. I think I'll almost always underestimate how much I'm gonna like a Dan Fogelberg album when I put it on. I don't recognize the songs by the titles. That's probably part of it. So Phoenix I got earlier this year, which I had back in the day. Whole purpose of this episode, guys, these are all albums I had back in the day and got rid of. Haven't heard in a long time. Probably last time I heard this would be early 90s, so 30 years. And Phoenix lays it on the line. Now this is probably something I only listened to maybe 4, maybe a half dozen times at most back in the day, you know. By this point, had so many cassettes, you know, and it was definitely a cassette. He wrote this entire album by himself, and it's a great one. Solid all the way through. There's like 1 or 2 decent songs and 8 or 9 great songs. It's really good. It was one of my favorites of the year, actually, overall, but getting the number 10 slot as favorite reacquisition. At number 9, some more metal. One of the earlier episodes of Love You Long Time, a definite thumbs up, exceeded expectations actually. Fire in the Brain by a band called Oz, Scandinavian metal band. This CD is on Black Mark Records. It's hard to find, and this one sounds not the best, you know, but Black Mark I think is almost like a short for Black Market, not a really reputable brand. But you know what, I got it on CD for about 15 bucks. Other legit CDs are 50 and up. So it's cool to hear this one again. Searchlight's killer first song. And a couple of these songs I thought were just going to be as heavy as Searchlight all the way through. That was the memory. There's actually some stuff on here that's more in league with like what Kiss was doing and stuff. Heavier on guitar, but sounding like something Kiss would write in that kind of league. Not great all the way through, but there's 5 great songs out of 8. So this was cool hearing this again. This was probably something I only listened to maybe 2-3 times back in the day when I had it. One of those, you throw it on once in a while, and every time you do, you're like, why am I not listening to this more often? And the next thing you know, I just didn't have it anymore. Taped it off my buddy Rick, who lived next door. Never actually owned it myself. So, but close enough. Had it taped, listened to it 3 times or so. That's number 9. At number 8, believe it or not, I almost can't believe this myself, because this was a throw-in pickup. CSNY's So Far. Greatest hits, right? I loved greatest hits albums when I was first going from metal into classic rock. It was the best way to get everyone's cream of the crop kind of stuff. And so I listened to the hell out of them, late 80s, maybe up until 90. And then I did an about face with greatest hits albums. I was giving them away. I never put them on. But you know what? I think I had a 3-year run with this album, maybe more, where I played the hell out of it. And then completely stopped listening to it. You know, I'm just going to get all the regular albums. I won't need this anymore. I still had it on tape until I ditched all my tapes like 6 or 7 years ago. But I haven't played it in 25 years, all right? Why bother? It's greatest hits. Who needs that? Nonsense. But man, I threw this on a month or so ago when I first got it. Damn, it's good. It was so good. And it was over so fast. It was like you wanted it to be longer. I think the only thing on here that's unique to it is Ohio, at least back when it came out. Now I'm sure that's on a bunch of different compilations, but CSNY so far in at number 8. At number 7, David Bowie. I only wanted disc 1 from his Sound of Vision box set because I love it and don't really care about the other discs. So I think for 10 or so dollars I got this guy and love it. Some unique songs, single B-sides and things. Demo of Space Oddity is still my favorite version of Space Oddity. But a good collection of like some hard rock stuff too. London by Tata, Black Country Rock. But Round and Round's actually pretty cool. B-side from Ziggy Sessions. So you got some unique stuff. Really mostly the first 2/3 of this CD is where it's at for me. It's just great little collection of early Bowie, heavy Bowie, and rarity Bowie. At number 6, Riot Fire Down Under. Dude Rich I used to hang with for a couple years back in early high school era. Turned us on to Riot and taped this one for me. I never actually owned this one, but played it a bunch of times, 3 or 4 times. And of course, Swords and Tequila, probably the best song ever. Although they have a lot of, this album's just solid, you know. I think 1 or 2 songs are okay and the rest of it's great. So a super solid album by New York's Riot, coming in at 6. Number 5, I had this one, it was brand new in '82, which I think was their only album. Missing Persons Spring Session In. Now, I actually probably got this the year before, but I really started getting into it this past summer and loved it, man. I really only remembered 2 or 3 songs by their titles, but remembered almost everything really well by playing it. So I must have played it a lot more than I remembered playing it back in the day. So this was kind of a surprise. Could have been a Love You Long Time, but I didn't realize how much I loved it. So wouldn't have been. The first song, Noticeable One, is awesome. Kind of really heavy, you know? Like I'd love to hear a metal band cover Noticeable One. Although lyrically it doesn't fit a metal band, but it's a great rockin' song. Good one, man. Love that. Number 5. Number 4, another surprise. Someone taped this for me in the 90s. I think my cousin, you know, 89. He had it when it first came out. And the Doctor was all over the radio. Comeback for the Doobie Brothers. And put out the album Cycles. And I remember having it taped off. And in my memory, yeah, I listened to it a few times, but it was just okay. So picked it back up earlier this year. And surprisingly, I think it's really good. I don't know if it's great, but it's much better than I remembered it. And consistently good all the way through, too. So, Doobie Brothers Cycles would be my number 4 favorite reacquisition for 2023. This one was almost a no-brainer. But, of course, we're just mentioning things here. So, Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. Yeah, I haven't heard this album in so long. And I had this when it was brand new. I must have played it 30 times back when I first got it. Couple years after that, and still had it when I ditched my tapes a few years back, and just never replaced it. So, you know, and like I told you, I haven't listened. I had held on to all my cassettes, 500 or so, and probably only played 6 of them over the last 15, 20 years. So it was just time to part ways with those things. And Peace of Mind back in the collection. It's great, you know that. Number 2 favorite. Back in my collection CD, go to HSAS, Through the Fire. They were one and only album, unfortunately. But just some cool stuff on here. Like Top of the Rock, I got some radio play on Metal Shop back when it came out. That was the only thing that really got any play in Philly. And I loved that. So I went right out and got this. I was the only one I knew that had this album. And other than that Top of the Rock on Metal Shop, if I had friends that listened to Metal Shop, they knew what I was talking about with that song. That was it. No one else I knew bought this album, knew who HSAS was, nothing. Really liked Animation Valley of the Kings, that sort of atmospheric, sort of rock jamming by Sean. And of course it goes into Giza. It's almost like a triple song there. But I actually kind of like Missing You, you know, which I don't think I liked much back in the day. Never liked The Whiter Shade of Pale. And never really cared for He Will Understand. Hot and Dirty's okay. That's pretty decent. But My Hometown was really good. Initially, I think I gave this a thumbs down on the Love You Long Time. Yeah, I called it like a coin flip kind of thing. But it actually does meet an 8. I think it was an 8.1 out of 8. I was aiming for an 8. So HSAS gets the sort of belated thumbs up on Love You Long Time. Number 2 favorite pickup of the year. That was great to relive, you know, because like I said, never knew anyone that even knew who that band even was, much less had the album. Favorite reacquisition for 2023, Armored Saints' March of the Saint. Told you how much I love this album. Talking about the I Was There episode, Saint, Wasp, Metallica. That I already listened to this album 8 or 10 times between buying it, I think late September, early October, something like that, and the concert early to mid-January. And Saint played almost this whole album at that show, despite what Setlist FM says. I remember them playing at least 8 songs off this, because there was a couple songs I didn't know, and I remember knowing most of the show, and the show being about 50 minutes, 45, 50-minute songs. So now, here's your Rock Candy edition. I can't stand digipacks, so I will buy an older version just to get it on jewel case of anything. But I'm glad I got this one. The demos on here I think are better than the regular versions. A little heavier, a little more raw. My style. But overall, the album's great, man. Mostly great songs. A couple of just okay, good songs. And I don't think it's overproduced, although the band thought it was. Maybe that intro to March of the Saint, totally unnecessary. But what a solid, awesome album that I think is sort of in line with classic new wave of British heavy metal style. This is 84, mid-84, coming up on fall 84. And I don't think even the metal bands, British metal bands, by this point were sounding this way anymore. This is sort of a nod to the 79 to 82 versions of Saxon and Priest, you know, with all those little leads, great melodic, heavy hooks left and right. Love that one. Guys, I don't think I even got to show yous. Let's top it off. Let's get to business. There we go. Man, I can't wait to get into this. Classic rock and metal review, all right? Maybe throw us a like if you want. Guys, till next time, see you soon.